I'm Jane Applegath. This is the Epic Vision Zone, where bold ideas meet extraordinary leaders. What if your book had an AI brain and readers could ask it questions and receive personalized answers grounded in your ideas? And what if authors could determine which readers were ready to become clients? Shahd Safarani is the founder of ResMind and has spent 7+ years building AI products used by some of Europe's largest tech and media companies. His published research explores how AI can process information more like the human brain. A decision to take the entrepreneurial route, Shahd began reading dozens of business books to learn how to build a company. In the process, he began using AI to ask questions and absorb those books in a fraction of the time. It was then that he discovered a massive gap in the market. Authors were losing most of their readers before they became clients. Shahd decided it was a market gap worth building a company around. Not only has he built an AI powered system that lets readers ask questions and get personalized advice, but authors see who's engaging in what topics and who's reading for higher value offers. Working with coaches and experts who have written books to grow businesses, Shahd offers a bridge between leaders and authors where a book may not be something you simply read, but something that reads you back. Today, we explore the future of AI intelligent books and what happens when your greatest ideas no longer end on the final page, but begin a whole new conversation. Welcome, Shahd, to the Epic Vision Zone.
Hi, Jen. Happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Well, we're very excited to have you here because this sounds like it is a groundbreaking idea and certainly very revolutionary. So let's get started. Um, Tell us a bit about yourself and the kind of AI work that you've spent the last several years building.
Sure. So I've been building AI systems for around like 7+ years in industry, and like the kind of AI technology, or let's say from a user or consumer perspective, when you use Netflix and Amazon, and these kind of platforms seem to know or predict what you'd like to watch next or buy next. So that's the kind of AI personalization technologies I've been building for millions of users here in Europe at some of the largest tech and media companies for the last 7 years. And yeah, moving forward, since 1 year ago, I founded ResMind, which is about helping coaches and consultants who've written a book to, let's say, spread the word, say I am the go-to expert in this niche, but also to bring in further people into their ecosystem, and so that they can help them with their expertise. Yes, I help coaches and consultants who've written a book for that purpose to turn their readers into actual clients, and also to help their readers actually get the most value out of what they bought, which is the book. So.
Mm. Yes, I could see that is a huge gap in the market. And what a brilliant concept to use AI. Like you said, Amazon uses it to anticipate what you might like, et cetera, et cetera. And now you've built this for authors, so and readers as well. Well, how did the entrepreneurial transition come about? And how did ResMind come to be then? You tapped a little bit into it, but maybe give us some more insight.
For sure. So about a year ago, I decided to go the entrepreneurial route, and after engineering AI for like 7+ years, as I mentioned, and at some point, I really was so hungry for learning about the topic of entrepreneurship in depth, and also the concepts and the frameworks that I could use to advance my experience, but also move fast. Since also we're living in this AI first era where entrepreneurship is becoming more more kind of like an immersion thing that more people are participating at around the world. And so I ended up reading, like buying a lot of business books from big names like Daniel Priestley, Alex Hermosi, and so on, that I've been following for years. And I really wanted to grasp what they talk about and also apply the knowledge. At some point, I was very yeah, overwhelmed by the amount of, concepts and terminologies and practices that I've never heard of. And then at some point, I needed like to digest and grasp and absorb this kind of knowledge bits by bits while I'm applying it. And yeah, as I am one of the AI guys, like the people who develop this thing from scratch, I ended up using AI to help me learn faster and apply faster. And it was super fascinating how useful for me as a reader, on my, like from my perspective at that time, that was. And when I was trying to go through like different services in the market that I could use literally like just out of the box to um, like to let me interact with these books and so on, I didn't find something that is really built for that case like mine. And this is where it clicked for me, and I was like, oh, maybe this is something I could build a business around. And then at some point, I ended up doing like market research to see the business impact of it and what the market needs and all that. And I ended up or stumbled upon like another gap on the author side, not just on the reader side, which I found even worse, where they were losing most of their warmest leads, so their readers, before they ever even became um, aware of their high ticket offers and get more help from the experts. So yeah, that's how it all came about to be.
Mm. Yes, I could see the light bulb going on and using your knowledge with AI that, just using it as a tool to begin with. Because, like you said, there's so much information that you were absorbing and you were getting overwhelmed, which happens with all of us. It could be anything, it could be business, it could be science, it could be, mindfulness. There is so much information coming at us, but to use AI to break that down, but now having a concept that actually helps the reader is not only great for the reader, but huge for the author, which we
Exactly.
will tap into for sure. So that being said, that you've described this as creating a book with an AI brain, which I love that concept, by the way. So what does that mean, and how is it different from simply asking a general AI tool to summarize a book?
Yes, that's a very good question. Nowadays, everybody has got the means and uh, that they can use to go online, learn quickly in 1 hour or two how to build a custom GPT or a custom AI application to make more like of an interface that could um, be reader facing, so to speak, where people can interact with this. And also, so that's one thing that everybody can do out of the box these days. And the second thing that is also facilitated right now with the whole no code technology sphere is summarize, and also like what you actually see in the market when it comes to book consumption based services on the reader side. It's about making personalized but also pre-defined, let's say, book summaries so people can read or consume knowledge in 15-minute bits or that or so when they don't have time. So these two are the things that authors can implement right away, and also with the help of different services in the market. However, if you will look at the first trend where people can build their own custom GPT, right? There we're talking about relying purely on what third-party AI models like ChatGPT, Claude, and so on have been trained on, which suffers from hallucinations and suffer from. So hallucinations, just like for who don't know what hallucinations is, just is basically There's ton of research and literature in the last 2 years about these AI models making up facts and making up content while they generate a response to any kind of question coming out of nowhere, which is in fact incorrect. And that's merely because these models have been trained to not to just like state facts and anchor what they say to actual content. Their main objective that they have been optimized for is to imitate a human language, a human style of
Mm.
narrating and conversating, and that's a huge difference. So if I am an author and I have my book and I go blindly rely on a third party AI just to say, oh, this is my book and I want you to go and answer any reader's question, especially that like most of, if you think about it, most of um, experts who've written and published books and they are very well known and they go to experts in their niche, usually it's sensitive topics, right? It's about breakups, it's about financial advice that grow your business or destroy your business. So these are serious topics. You can't just like give or rely blindly on an AI just like to go and answer questions, ending up hallucinating and giving yeah, like let's say falsified or incomplete information and answers. And this is where this concept of AI brain came about, in the sense what I'm helping my clients with is build an AI specifically anchoring every answer and grounding every answer and even citing it to the original text of the authors in the book or whatever content piece they have written, and also linking it back to the actual words of the author. So it's not just anymore just like a version of you that just talks in your voice and so on, which is very anyway good to implement, having an AI agent that talk in your voice and so on. But also it's about talking on your behalf where when you're not there, but it's using your words and it's citing what you have actually written or shared from your IP and so on. I hope that makes it clear. Yeah.
Yes, no, absolutely. I mean, the concept is fascinating. It's basically like we said in the opening, customizing the
Yes.
AI with the author's voice, not just voice, but the author's message or thoughts
Exactly.
or
Exactly.
information. Because, like you said, when you use the general AI, whatever that might be, ChatGPT or Cloud, they're going to give you answers that may not resonate or may not be even along the lines of what the author intended. But
Yes.
it's interpreting it through third party, whereas this one is personalized. And
Yeah.
yes, that's so brilliant. So that I just have a question then. That being
Sure.
said, is each time that you implement one of these, it is has to be an individual application, like the ResMind. Say, for example, I came to you, I said, I'm an author. I love what you're doing. I've written this book. You build that system just for my book. Is that how it works?
Yeah, so that's I would say that's more of a technical question, but I think
Okay.
you are asking more on the conceptual level, right? Or are you asking on the
Yes.
technical? Okay, so
Yeah. Conceptually.
conceptually speaking, you're gonna get your like actually um so I just like to introduce some kind of technology terms like here. There are ways of using what already is existing in the market of the best AI models like Claude and ChatGPT, but in a way that you force it to anchor all the answers and fact check it with your IP and your thoughts and
Mm.
your actual words. So it's about and that said, if you're an author and you came to me and you say, okay, I want to give my book and also my other uh, content resources like podcast material, courses that I offer to my paid members and all that kind of stuff, an AI brain, you would get your own customized AI that is anchored to your materials, that speaks from your thoughts and from your actual words. Yes.
Okay. Wonderful. Yeah. So you feed it. It's very much like some of the large coaches right now are using AI with an app that you can connect, and they feed it all their information. And let's say I have the app and I want to ask it a question,
Hmm.
say, how do I improve my relationship or something like that.
Hmm.
And that AI entity responds to you, but it's embedded with the information of the coach. It's like an online
Yes.
coach. Tony Robbins is using it. David Guillaume. There's a number of large ones because obviously it's quite an endeavor, an expensive endeavor. It costs a lot of revenue, but nonetheless, this is where you're taking sort of the same concept and implementing it for books. It's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, it's definitely the wave of the future. Yeah.
I want to add one thing to this, which I'm really excited about, and I am also finding more about from the conversations and the feedback I'm getting from my clients. It is we're building also something that is, I don't think I've seen it ever before tried out, which is I didn't look up like these exact, let's say, AI chats with the names you mentioned, but from what I've seen so far that is adjacent to what we're building, even on top of books and on top of other content, usually it's about giving you short answers, and then even if you talk to it and so on, the authority is up to the AI what answer it gives you, even though it is trained and linked to the
Mhm.
original ideas of the author. What we in ResMind built to help authors achieve another level, which is really valuable to their readers and their people and empowering them, it is about having a chat interface where you are speaking voice wise or text wise with the book, but also and adding to the citation, you have an overlay interface where you can actually, like, while you are having a real conversation with the book, you can actually skim through the chapter, right, like at the same time, where the relevant topic is about from the chat, and you can actually still read. So all that I'm saying is we don't need to stop reading or change completely the concept of reading and knowledge consumption of books. It's just we need to enhance it, enrich it, and make it way more easy in terms of accessibility, given how little of time people have, and also, given the attention short spans getting shorter and so on, with the social media and AI first um, era we're living today. So I just wanted to mention we're moving it even to an extra, like to another level. um, yeah.
Right, where you can be reading it at the same time that it's interpreting what you're reading. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yeah, so basically you have the choice to go back to the book and still read that piece of
Mm,
content that you were asking about, while you are talking to
right.
the AI and asking it, oh, but what does that mean? What did the author really say here? And then it will cite you to like chapter 10, page 200. And
Okay.
in the chat
Right.
interface, you'll have an overlay where you can even like read it through, because I don't just want to give, and submit my whole you know belief system to what the AI said, but also I want to verify it, or even I want to give myself more context, or even read the whole chapter that the AI guided me to. So yeah.
Right. Well, that's fascinating. Oh my gosh, there's so many things happening in this world of AI, but this shot is it's revolutionary for sure, because we've always thought of reading as a one-way experience, right? The author
Mhm.
speaks or writes the book, and then the reader receives it by reading it. But when the book can suddenly speak back, in a sense, this do you believe can transform reading from passive consumption to a deeply personal conversation? That's what I feel you're moving into.
Yes, and that is because of the gap on the reader side I've mentioned in the
Mm,
at the beginning of our conversation is basically let me share this story like just to make the point clearer. One of the early talks I had on a call with an author, she mentioned to me, like she was telling me like about her business and why she wants to use her, or how she wants to use her book for her business and so on. And I got to know like she's got like really deliberate funnel, transitioning people from being a reader to like being aware of her high ticket offers, and that was through the implementation of different call to actions across different chapters and so on, with the personalized quizzes they can take online with the QR codes and all that. And when I asked her, when I dug a little bit deeper to learn more about her situation, and I was asking her about her readers and so on, she laughed, and this is where I noticed like she didn't actually know much about her readers, like in terms of like who they are and also how they are engaging with her book. And then it turned out, even she explained to me um, how she knows people are not opening up her book, because it turned out, according to what she said, Kindle was, so when you publish a book on Amazon, Kindle gets authors paid for reader when readers complete around 50% at least of their
mm,
book content and so on.
okay.
And this is where she knows from the aggregate stats and information on her dashboard on Kindle that almost nobody has opened her book, even though she had sold around 9,000 copies, and she'd run like really like ads for like around 99 cents for a book to really like just spread the word and get as much exposure as possible. And that just shows you from that story how her whole funnel, which is very deliberate and very well thought of, has broken at step one, which is they would never even get to the first call to action to then go on a landing page or whatsoever. And this is where we come back to your point about having moving from this static format of the book that is one way street to having it in a more kind of two-way street fashion, where readers can ask questions and get answers tailored to their needs, and so that can benefit them individually. Um, so that's merely because these days people consume short form content, hyper personalized, hyper interactive. They don't have the time to read hundreds of pages. Like people don't consume content the way they used to in
Yeah.
1950 or something, and that's why they never get there in the first place.
Hmm. Wow. Fascinating. Yeah, because when you look at how we taught, speaking with your about your story, how she deliberately placed all of those QR codes and how she could, go to quizzes and she had funnels and obviously had probably spent a lot of money in presenting and creating the book and the whole 9 yards of the marketing piece. And to find out that they're not even opening, the book or reading halfway through it is so disheartening. But you're right, because there's such a call for people's attention these days. And if you can grab them, say, in with something like this in the first chapter, even, that's amazing. Well, this leads into our next question, actually. So
Sure.
currently, where do you see the biggest gaps in the marketplace for readers and authors? And let's start with the readers. Where do you see that gap? And then we'll move on to the authors.
So continuing what I've mentioned regarding your previous question, because people don't consume content that don't adapt to them, like books these days, um, that means they don't trust. Let's say, first, they don't get introduced enough to the ideas of an author, of an expert, to have an impression that okay, this author can help me with my own problem in this topic or that topic, and now I'm ready to sign up for a high ticket offers or 5K or 10K mastermind program, or join, like, I don't know, coaching, uh, multi-session kind of coaching offer and so on. So from that perspective, people are not people these days, so we're talking here about readers, don't get warmed up enough to move up the value ladder that the author has on their side. That's the reader gap, right? You need to engage them more in a personalized way, in an interactive way, um, enough so that, like, in basically capture more of their attention, but in an authentic way. So through helping them and telling them really what the author can help them with, enough that they can then take the next step. So that's like the first gap on the reader side. Regarding the gap on the author side, I would like also to share a story that I've learned a lot from at the beginning of starting this whole business. During one of my conversations with one of the authors I've been working with, so a bit of context: he sold thousands of books, written 3 books, and he was, during our call, was about to publish his fourth. And when I asked him about, okay, how are you planning to connect your book to your business, and bring in more clients and so on from your book, he said, like, um, mostly I get my clients from speaking gigs, referrals, workshops, etc. And I was asking about, um, like, more about, how does that work and so on. And he said, every time I write a book, I pick a fight and just, like, fight fight it in front of everybody and see what comes back from the market. And it's like more like, you want to think about, it's like big push, bigger launch, more ads, and then see what comes back. And then I've got string of maybes throughout the conversation, where he would be like, would it bring in more clients? Maybe. Would it bring me more speaking gigs? Maybe. And so on. And I feel like every time I had, um, let's say, a diagnostic call with an author, where I was really trying to understand their current setup and situation, um, I keep hearing the same pattern. It's like authors pour all these years, like, into, getting their expertise and being the go-to expert, and then pour all that in writing a book to spread the word and tell the world, like, I can really help you with this and that topic. But then once the launch goes out, it goes silent for them, and then the real frustration kicks in, because they don't know how to measure this, and they don't know whether it's working or not, whether people are buying the book, engaging with it, not, or that kind of stuff. And um, I feel like that's so. If we want to summarize this gap on the author side, it's more about the way they rely on books to drive their business and bring in more clients and generate more revenue. The way they rely on it is purely unquantifiable. And what you cannot optimize what you cannot see and measure. That's like the gap on the author side. It's like they don't know who bought their book. When you sell the moment you sell it on Amazon, you start losing the vast majority of your readers. And also, even if you know, or convert, like, even 0.1% of them, and capture their emails, you still don't know how they are engaging personally with your topics and what interests them, one by one. And also, who is most likely to become a client. Just think of it this way: you are an author. It's like a lot of authors I talk to are executive coaches, and one client is serious money and serious investment of your time and effort, because executive coaches need a lot of help across different matters. But winning one client is a big deal for a coach, right? And still, you don't know who of these warmest leads who bought your book is an executive coach who really needs your help. This is the kind of serious money authors are leaving on the table because of this invisibility problem, or gap they have. Yeah.
Yes, it's a huge gap. And absolutely, I could see why when the light bulb went on, you got so excited about it because you're right. It isn't quantifiable when you publish a book, even if it becomes a bestseller. There's no way of knowing, number one, if it will, but number two, if it is a book derived from a coach or a leader that wants to sell a program, that if any of those people will actually become a client, because you don't know who they are, number one, and number two, you don't even know if they just read a couple of pages or actually really got engaged with the book. So this provides authors with a way to quantify and monitor what their how their book is being not only perceived, but how if it's making an impact. And that's
Exactly,
that's the
exactly,
key, because you hope that it's making an impact, but you have no idea. But this opens the gate to that particular question. So that is
exactly.
huge. We'll
Yeah,
scrap that. Yeah, you already scrapped that one, because they usually go to like you said, they have a book, then they do like they have a speaking gig. They get speaking gigs, and
exactly.
that's how they. Okay, so we'll go to the next question. So how then does ResMind assist authors in closing the perspective slash client gap? Like, I'm really curious how this works, because I'm seeing, okay, I go to a bookstore, I buy a book. Um, is it an app? Is it embedded in the book? I mean, how does this work?
So let's role play one scenario here. You're an author. You come to me and you say, "Shad, I want to bring in more clients, and I feel like I've written a great book, but it's not bringing or like making the impact I hoped for in terms of my business." What we do is usually first we check um, how much of exposure. So there are certain prerequisites I need to ensure so that I could help you. One of them is the marketing, right? You have to have some kind of exposure, some kind of marketing on your side, whether it's organic, whether it's paid ads, whether it's an audience base that you have on LinkedIn, doesn't matter. All what we need is that people know about you already and so on. And then from there, what I could do to help close these two gaps we've just talked about is through giving your book an AI brain. Now, before I explain what does that mean, all what you need to do or all what you need to know on your side as an author is that all what you need to do is put a QR code in your book. So whoever buys your book, whether it's printed copy or digital copy, doesn't matter. The reader will be able to get in and then easily and seamlessly and then interact with your book. Now, regarding the AI brain I give to your book, it has three jobs. The first job tackles the reader's gap we talked about. Once a reader gets in, scanning a QR code, they that will allow them to have a one-on-one conversation with your book. Ask it questions, get personalized answers in your voice, linked back and grounded in your original text with your actual words, and get personalized advice, and so on and so forth, while staying engaged and going deeper and deeper in your world. So that's the first one. The second function of this AI brain is to keep another eye on the business side. So basically, while the author is sleeping, the system is watching who's engaging and how they are engaging with the book, so it can identify who is interested in working with the author, and also to have full visibility that uh, and you know that the author can gain from the system um, over how people are engaging with the book, what topics they care about, where they drift off, and so on. And as we said, most importantly, who um, is most likely to become a client. And for those who are most interested in working with the author, the system will do the third job, which is guiding them, pointing them to any of the higher value offers the authors have on the other side, tailored to their needs, without clicking around and without like trying to be salesy or whatever. It comes from a natural value exchange where readers are convinced that they want to take the next step. So that's like the kind of, and this is where then the authors can spend most of their time, and availability is like, and stay in the loop only with the people who need them and who need their help, because you as a human slash author slash coach, you have limited resources. You can't be present and have a conversation with everyone. So you need to prioritize those who are most interested in working with you, who have already consumed your content and know who you are and what you talk about and all that. And they are almost certain they need your help in this topic or that topic. So that's like the kind of bridge I build through this AI brain.
Okay, so I'm just going to envision that. I've got the book. I have the QR code in the book.
Yes.
I scan the QR code, correct? And then
Yep.
do you have to activate it, or like you start reading? I'm trying to envision how the process works, like as a reader, how it
Sure,
works.
sure. So you will have an interface that will pop
No.
up, whether it's in the platform you're reading in, so it's in your browser, whether it's on your mobile app, it doesn't matter. It's usually a pop-up, just a chat
Okay.
interface. And then within that chat interface, you will get to conversate by text and voice. That's the primary, let's say, communication medium we're providing now. Um, and you can get the answer to, like, in response
Mm,
to what format you have asked, whether it's in the author's voice or in text, and all the answers will have citations linking back to what the author has said in that chapter on that page. So it will give you personalized answer. It will make the content that the author has written, uh, let's say, also simpler to understand if you request to, and all that kind of stuff. But also it will link back to what the author actually said, where you can, within the same interface, within the same window, you will have an overlay where you could actually scroll or read or whatsoever. So you don't have to click around, and you don't have to, open different windows and all these kind of things. So it's like real experience of a modern reader.
mm,
And what is coming up also with recent clients I signed, which I am also really excited about, is that we can even link to multimedia content. So
mm,
I want you to think of this thing as, like, I want you to think of the book now is just like one doorway. But what if
mm.
you have an online course to paid members, or like, let's say, free lead magnets that are recorded videos, um, giving basically free content or free courses to people so they can engage with you and they learn from you, but also they get to know how you can help them about certain topics. Now we can transform that the same way we transform your book. Now I want you to imagine with me, you are conversating with the book, but also you could be conversating with the course. And now the citation will not be back to the chapter page 100, it will be to the timestamp from which that specific answer came, which you can actually visualize and watch real time. So you don't need to like go to that video and click a link and scroll to, I don't know, minute 3 or whatever. It will just pop up and tell you, oh yeah, the author spoke about this here, and this is where he
Wow.
explained this in thorough detail. So you can actually within the same interface interact with different videos and so
Videos.
on and so forth.
That's amazing. Wow. Really, Shahd, that is the next
Thank you.
step. What I was thinking, and this is
Hmm.
just my brain, is that you go to the store, you pull a book on leadership, say for example, and it's got the QR code, the ResMind QR code in there, and you you haven't bought the book yet, but you click on the QR code and you're on the interface and you say how a question like this, which is really my thought of, am I going to buy the book or aren't I? How is this book going to help me in my corporate leadership today? It's
Mm.
almost like a marketing thing. And then it would be, you know, the author or whatever, the text or the voice, or even a video coming back and say, these are the highlights of this particular book. And this is how it has helped, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it's a great way, like, to even for people who are curious about buying the book to,
Exactly.
if, like, let's say if you're not a well-known author, or, you're just entering that field of whatever it might be. But yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, I could see that
And
in
I
every
want
book.
to,
Go ahead.
yeah, thanks. I also envision this happening soon, and I really want to be a part of contributing to this wave because this is the reality we live in. The publishing industry is still, yeah, in my opinion, from what I read, what I keep hearing, and all that uh, content I consume about authorship, I just see a lot to be improved, and there's a lot of work to be done in the publishing industry. So we adapt to the modern readers and the modern ways people consume content. But I would have just I would like to add to what you said about yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about regarding the marketing as like nudging people, and it's genuinely um like it's generally authentic experience on both sides, because you don't need any more like to chase anyone. I think one of the pain points that I also keep hearing from coaches that I work with, or I have also conversation with, is that they chase
Hmm.
people to bring in more clients and do more sales and all that kind of stuff. And you don't need to do this anymore if you've got something that generally help people who are really needing your help, and then also guide them towards your offers without you always being the middleman doing the sales job and so on. So yeah, this is like really something I am really excited about. um,
Yeah, it makes, okay, so you're an author, but the reader doesn't know you. But what this does is it provides a human connection with the reader, because you will resonate with, let's say you're not familiar with the author, but this will provide you with possibly a human connection with that author. And maybe you like them, maybe you don't, but now you have the opportunity to know who wrote the book. And a lot of times that's why people buy a book. It's may not be just the content, but it's the authors. And those are the ones that are well
exactly.
known. But if you're not well known and you think, well, this looks like a good title, it looks like an interesting cover, open the book, let me hear from the author, see if I resonate with them. And this provides that connection. So, yeah, it's the future. Next, it'll be holograms. The author will just pop up. Yeah.
That's true. I think,
Why not?
but it's really interesting what you're saying about this human connection thing, which I would love to share one opinion about. I feel like one of the things that became clear to me in the last 1 or 2 years in terms of content creation and how people resonate with different pieces of content and so on is they care about authenticity, and that they are feeling something is original, something is coming from a human. And even like no matter how people behind like the tech industry and all that, yeah, where money comes from and so on, push toward, humans will stay humans, and we will still long for authenticity and originality of our human connection. Exactly. And for me, I've been very clear on this from day one, is that now, if I were an author, and I've written my IP, and I really know, just like only there's few of experts around the world that know as much as me in this topic or in that niche. Um, Now the AI is very likely have been trained on my books without my consent, without giving any kind of rewards and giving anything back. We just know this for a fact from all the um, yeah, media reports about how AI models been trained on millions of books and so on. Um, and I am now not sure how my IP is transferred and is consumed by people. And again, I'm getting nothing back for all the work I've done,
Right.
for the knowledge that I and the experience I've developed, but also I think even more than just the money and the revenue, people care about delivering the message and sharing the knowledge. They usually have a mission to accomplish, and that's why they write a book about 20 years of experience in a certain topic. And now it's like we don't even know if I'm delivering the message the right way because there is this third party AI that is speaking in my in my frameworks or whatever, but I don't even know what it's saying, right? And this is what I've been clear on from day one is we want to bring back authority and as much of control and as much of uh, power to individual authors who are running like consulting coaching businesses to to first have full visibility how their book is impacting the world and also how it's impacting their business, but also to make sure it protects their IP. That's like in the first place.
Mm,
So this is one of the things that are not outspoken when usually I talk about raise mind, because this is not like the direct impact you can see, but behind the scenes this is also what we're doing, right? It's about protection
mm,
of IP for authors and experts, where AI became your twin, your friend, your best salesman, rather than uh, I wouldn't say your enemy, but more like the opponent or the one who's stealing your IP, kind of. Basically, behind the scenes, also that's what we're doing, right? We're protecting the IP of authors, and so um, it's uh, AI doesn't become working against you, it's working for you. And really, there is a huge difference between downgrading or replacing humans or their impact and their work, or whether we want to empower them and also, um, yeah, basically lift their life and bring them more clients, generate revenue, also empower their readers, all these kind of things. Mm.
right. Yeah, very, very powerful. Yeah, I could definitely see that being a huge selling point for, authors for sure. But well, thank you for that information. Yeah, because
You're
what you're
welcome.
developing here is really something else. So that being said, what stage is ResMind at right now?
So it's still in early stage. I've been building this out for a few months now with a smaller group of authors. Um, Also, I am being intentional on selecting who I work with first, so I get honest and real feedback on what I'm building. So results speak for itself later, and then it can scale to as many authors later on. Yeah. But I gotta say, like, also the door is open to more people contributing to this, as it's now built out uh, these days. And yeah, we're moving fast on this.
Mm. That's wonderful. Well, I see it, the future of books, as we were talking. Do you see this as transforming the future of this industry, the publishing industry? Could it possibly be something of that nature?
That's a very good question. Um, 100%. I'm just now thinking in which ways it will transform publishing industry, because I feel so. First of all, I feel like the publishing industry is already transforming very fast on book writing. So there is like this bunch of AI services that are quite good and quite useful, I would say, for planning and building strategy and also writing and editing books. So you can, on a weekend, just like dump your ideas, and then you have a full book written from your words and your thoughts and so on. Um, However, I feel like the part nobody's, and also like definitely you have the thing happening on the front end, which is the marketing and the sales empowered by AI, different AI tools and so on. For lead gen and lead qualification and all these kind of things, and content creation and so on. But on the back end, meaning that what happens after someone buys the book, so far I've seen none done on that front, which I truly believe is like has far more impact. Because just think about it: if I were an author, a coach who've written a book to help executive coaches in how to lead teams, or how to build, I don't know, how to steer their businesses or their team impact from stagnation to being more productive or impactful or whatsoever. If I were an author and I'm helping high ticket people, so like CEOs, executive coaches, all that kind of um, audience, and I have high ticket offers for them, at my prices, I don't need to convert everyone who reads my book or who consume my content and so on, right? I just need to capture a handful few more, and that's serious money. Uh, Real value sitting in the readers I already have, without chasing anyone, doing more marketing and doing all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I think real impact is already there for a lot of authors, but it's just there is no clear or real connecting bridge between I bought the book and I want to work with the author. That's the gap I think we should focus on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because what popped into my mind is that in a way, it's much more advanced, obviously, but you know how students, when they're studying for exams, they have these cliff notes that they can buy that reduce everything
Hmm.
into what they need to know. And it's kind of like taking a book report, getting a book report from the book, but condensing it into the author's words and the author's intention, whatever that might be. So, yeah, the concept is because for whatever reason, manuals popped into my mind too, like, training manuals and everything like that. I mean, if you think about all the printed materials that are out there, this could go beyond books. Like, yeah, it could be
I
really
I would
powerful.
I would add to that actually. I think that's a very good way of framing it, especially if we add also the word personalized, let's say
Mm,
manuscripts or
yeah,
or cliff notes, like, because everybody is getting their own version of the manuscript, right?
right.
As if like the author is talking to them and helping them. But also I would add to that the fact that that's valuable from the marketing perspective, right? To be more convincing to more people and so on. But if we zoom out and see how people are consuming content, and how content is created and all that kind of stuff, and how AI is getting more and more involved, like hyper rapidly in our daily lives and daily activities everywhere in every sector and so on. um, y- I feel like um, you better do it now than when it's too late. Because think about it this way: I would love to share this also story that make my point clear for authors and who write a book to also bring more people into their ecosystem. One of the authors I had deep conversation with was working and writing about AI governance.
Mm,
So her whole work is about chasing news about the new regulations, AI regulations, happening and dropping day by day, right, for the last 2 3 years. And this, her whole background is about risk assessment and governance and all these and regulations,
mhm.
and so on. By the time we had the call, a few weeks before that, she has written a LinkedIn post about a new case that came up in the US. That was like very uh, fresh news, and her post went like up to a few hundreds of thousands of impressions or views, viral on LinkedIn.
Mhm.
And by that time, during that period, she was writing a book about AI governance and regulations. And she thought, oh, I want to add this new case to my book, right? But then, like, the second thought was like, but wait, what if a new case in a few weeks come up again? Like, so, and this is where she decided that she would put on her book cover that was upcoming in a few months. Y- you've got an online version of this book that will be up to date and will notify you about new cases coming up or something like this. So whoever reads her book, the notion of the book now is not anymore about the static finished product I write once and it's outdated the day it's printed. It's a living kind of online entity or library, you can call it, that self update itself with the new content and new knowledge coming up and created and found
Mhm.
out about online. And that's I think where we are heading.
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of sectors can adopt this kind of new uh, way of thinking of what a book could mean in the next decade. It's like it's not anymore just like I write a piece and that's it. Because yeah, just think about 100 years ago we had like scarcity of experts in different niches. So
Mm.
if I am a go-to expert in one super specific topic or niche, probably I'm the only one in my country or something, and people will know about me. It's like, wow, they will get excited so much. Now it's more about satisfying the audiences and trying to capture their attention because there's like just abundance of experts across all the topics and niches. So yeah, like if you want to be ahead of, let's say, everyone else, you get to be the most up-to-date version of, yeah, whatever niche you are expert at. So that's, I think, the also where AI, where this kind of like technology we're building out right now at ResMind could help with, because I literally have a client where I'm building this for, is like the AI is giving visibility for the authors who's reading and how they are engaging. It is nurturing the readers, but also it is transforming the book from a static book to a self-updating online library. So yeah.
Mm. Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, for a book that deals with anything like that, and in science, in technology, in, like you said, the regulations, all those things that change all the time. Even in
Exactly.
lead, everything. You're right. Things don't stay. They never do stay static. I mean, that's the one thing we know for sure. Things change, and there's nothing we can do about it. But to have the book be able to update on that's fantastic. Absolutely. Well, Shahd, this is so revolutionary. The technology raises a fascinating question. When does the AI enhance an author's voice, and when does it begin to distort it? So, how do you protect the integrity of the author while still giving the reader an interactive experience? I think you may have touched on this.
Yes. So I think we do this by making sure the AI fact check what the author says, use as much
Mm.
as of their actual words, their actual framings, and uh, explain their ideas in language that any individual reader could understand in their own way while keeping authenticity. And that's the one thing, is like how AI communicates and anchor their answers, but also it's about citing and linking back to the original text and the original book content or whatever piece of content authors have, because we want to keep the reader in control of how deep they want to go with this, right? It's not just up to the AI to give me an answer, but also it's up to me to go check the content, because this is something I did personally. When I read the business books, most of the time I was answering, I was asking questions for two people, for two reasons. One is to guide me through the book where I should read about this thing, so then I would go and read because I wanted to go like full chapter end to end, but also to simplify language, to interpret what the author wrote correctly, given that they use sometimes terminologies and words that I've never heard before. So the AI could explain it in plain, simple language for me. Um, so yeah, it's a helper. It's not a just a teller. It's a helper
Hmm.
for me to consume knowledge the way I can, according to my understanding, my level of education in that topic, and so on. Um, by doing so, we protect the IP of the author. We give them full visibility. They get everything back for what they've right for all the value they've done, because now they've got like a predictable pipeline that is more about achieving a steady stream of high paying clients from their readers that are entering their world. um, and yeah, like regarding the reader side, I think also we touch on this, which is it's not about making and let's say prompting AI to be salesy or whatever. It comes from the organic value exchange where you nurture readers slash people who are consuming the content the way they are trying to consume it these days. So all what you're doing is you're adapting the book to a format that people can now interact with and consume content
Mm.
from and get value from.
Yeah,
So yeah,
just brilliant. Well, I have an AI question here then.
sure.
What might AI see in humanity that humanity still cannot see in itself?
That's a big one. Um, um, I feel like we as a humans, we are one of our. I mean, there are different traits that like define us as a humans, right? Some people say emotions, others say uh, we are social animals, so it's like the social need to connect to other humans and so on and so on. And also some say vulnerability, which connects to emotion, but it's also different. Vulnerability is about making mistakes. It's about feeling, you know, we're not perfect and all that kind, or maybe we are perfect in our imperfectness, all that kind of stuff. And there's something I like personally to always remind myself of when I get reflective about my own behaviors in every part of my life. It's like I always remind myself I have a blind spot. Whatever that is, I don't see it, but it's there. People see it, but I don't. And even if they tell me, most likely I can't, because I that motivate me always to try to see my blind spots and
Mhm.
be a better human being with everyone around me. And I think AI could, yeah, like it maybe I think it already could point out what someone's blind spot would be from interacting with it and asking it deep questions and so on. That doesn't make it uh, a living entity or a conscious entity or whatsoever. It just makes it smart enough and intelligent enough in language understanding and responding to us using the language we communicate with to help us reflect about these things. But yeah, yeah, I think this is one of the things that came to my mind.
Mm. Well, thank you for that. Yeah, it is an
You're
interesting
welcome.
question because we never think of that. Well, if someone is listening, then Shahd wants to take further action, where can they connect with you and contact you? And we'll have this information as well.
For sure. They can find me on LinkedIn and just connect to me there, and then we take it from there. Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Do you have a website yet for Resmine?
Yes, it's
Okay.
resmind.io, so resmind.io. Also, you can find my email there, and if you'd like
Okay.
to talk further, all the details are there.
Wonderful. And like I said, we'll have that. And because we're here on the Epic Vision Zone, I have one last question. If your
Sure.
life were an epic story, what would the title be?
Um, uh, should the title be a full sentence or few words stuck together?
Whatever you'd like. It's your
Whatever
title.
I'd like. Um, I think it's gonna be about resilience. My
Mm,
Yeah, my story goes along with learning how to be more and more resilient. Yeah.
resilience. Yes, that's a huge attribute today, and one that
Yes.
many people are either learning to incorporate or to teach, because
Yes.
things are changing so rapidly that we really do need to be resilient for sure, much more than before. Well, thank you, Shahd, for reminding us that the greatest promise of AI may not be that it gives us all of the answers, but that it may be that it helps us ask better questions, empowering us to create unthinkable futures where books don't just speak to us, where they actually speak with us. So thank you for that, Shahad.
Thank you.
And
Thanks.
once again, for information and to connect with Shahd, go to the Epic Vision Zone bio pages where you will find all of his direct contact information. And be sure to follow me on Instagram at Jane Applegath. Look me up at janeapplegath.com and like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Epic Vision Zone. Sending you much love and gratitude. Until next time, stay visionary, stay bold, live epically.